we need to advise you, this is the most dangerous bike we've ever seen. We've never seen one that is built as badly as this. We strongly advise that you don't ride it. So I used to take him to school on it every day until it eventually snapped in two. Good afternoon. I've been making quite a lot of serious videos lately, so I thought let's do one that's a bit more fun. I've just done an interview with Unity News. I've just been on there for an hour and a half chatting about the various issues that are facing us, and I've set up my little studio upstairs to do that. So I thought, why don't I talk you through some of my Hot Wheels collection, because some of them have got some quite funny stories. So it's not going to be a long video, just something a bit more laid back. You know, let's leave the heavy stuff, because I'm a bit brain knackered from that conversation, because it is heavy what we're dealing with at the moment everywhere. So let's have a nice easy one. Let's talk about Hot Wheels. Right. Hot Wheels launched in the 60s, and they launched with what are known as the Redlines, which are essentially these. So there were, I think, 16 different models available in the early Redline series. This is a, where's the camera? This is a Mercedes-Benz Pagoda opening bonnet. And the reason I have a Pagoda is because I used to be involved in the classic Mercedes scene. So that is, I think, one of my most expensive Hot Wheels. Paid about £40, I think, for that, because it's an early genuine 60s Redline. Most of the rest of my collection are here for pretty much sentimental reasons, and as I said, some of them are quite funny. You have got, obviously, the Volvo 850. When Hot Wheels launched the Volvo 850, I was very excited. I have a green one, which is just like the one that I had on my YouTube channel. I've got loads all scattered around the house, but these are just the ones that are in the rack. And then I have my homemade red one done in the exact same color as my Volvo 850, and that usually lives on this. So I have a little diorama scene that I made for my Volvo, because I quite enjoy making dioramas. It drives the wife crazy because I can get into making something like this and I'll be like disappeared for hours. But we have a little wave there. There used to be a surfer that went inside that wave, but he's gone missing. So we have the Volvo and the campfire and a wave, which is basically all I really want from life. My family, my Volvo, and a beach. So that's that one. Other interesting ones we have, I do have a rack of wagons. I have a wagon rack, as you could probably tell. And you might as well join me for this. I've got a new one that I bought yesterday. This is an AMC Eagle Matchbox, which I picked up last night in Tesco. I hate shopping at Tesco because they're in on it as far as I'm concerned. So there we go, there's a new one, an AMC Rambler with wood panels on it. I also have in the wagon rack two of these. This is an Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, and I love that because look at the sunroof in the roof. I just think that would be such a good family car, and it's got the dogs in the back as well. So this is a vintage one. This is an old version. This is the new version of the model, and you can see on the new casting the dogs are in different places. Isn't that strange? But this was in a Hot Wheels 5-pack that I bought for the wife for her birthday, as you do. So that's my Oldsmobiles. Got a couple of other wagons as well. Got another old one. This is a genuinely old Hot Wheels car, you can see from the condition. This is a Dodge Aries wagon, and I love the fact that it's got wood paneling on the side of it. Just a cool little wagon. I've got a couple of American things. This one's a more expensive one with rubber wheels. This is, I think this is a Vista Cruiser as well, actually. Obviously surfboards on the roof. And this was bought at the NEC, and I've lost the fins off of the surfboards, but that was bought at the Classic Motor Show, and the back opens up, I think. That's pretty cool. But that's about 15 quid, but it's a bit more detailed, that one, he says, as it falls apart. And then we have, I've got a sort of purple rack, because I love purple cars. So a couple to highlight in there. This is my favorite ever Hot Wheels. I think this is my favorite out of all of them. This is a purple, what is it? It's a Pontiac GTO, of course it is, 1965. And I bought that from the Hot Wheels shop in Swindon. And I did a video about that when we went down there. It never really got watched by anyone. But that's my favorite all-time Hot Wheels car. I think it's just the color, and I love a GTO, and it's got the red wheels, and because of where we bought it. As I said, most of my Hot Wheels purchases, and the reason they're in the shelf is for sentimental reasons. Moving on, I've got a Matchbox Chrysler not a PT Cruiser, what am I on about? Why have I forgotten what these are called? It's a Prowler, of course it is. It's a Plymouth Prowler. It's purple I love Plymouth Prowlers, very, very cool cars. I also love Dodge Vipers, so I have a number of Dodge Vipers in here. I have a Ute, I have a purple Ute, which you may know as a Holden Maloo or a Vauxhall Maloo. Very cool Australian cars, and when I used to work for a magazine some years ago, I test drove one of these over a long weekend, and it was super fun. I actually test drove 2 cars for that magazine. I nearly crashed the other one at 150 mile an hour, but that's a story that I will tell properly on another day. Then we have some race cars, and you'll notice that there is a Sierra Cosworth. Now, this is the first Hot Wheels Sierra Cosworth that came out, the black one, and I was so excited for this casting to come out. I sometimes on a lazy Saturday morning, we'll watch YouTube videos, kids will be around, and we'll be watching like unboxing of the latest Hot Wheels, and then I'll think, oh, you know, it's so exciting, can't wait to go to the shop and find one of those in the actual shop. Anyway, I'd been going on about the Sierra Cosworth for ages, and eventually it was Christmas time, and my wife decided that what she was going to do, because they weren't out in the UK yet, she decided she was going to buy me one on eBay, and I think she ended up paying, there you go, look, it's dated 2001. I think she ended up paying about 45 quid for it to get it like before they came out in England. So yeah, happy Christmas from your wife. But the really frustrating thing was on Christmas Eve, I went to a shop and bought one for like £1.50. So she was absolutely gutted. So that's why that one is still in its packet, because of course, darling, yours is much more special to me. And there's another one that is in its packet for a similar way, or it was until the other day. This one here, this Porsche, has a funny story too, because my wife, sometimes what she does around Christmas time is she panics that she hasn't bought me enough presents. I don't need presents. And anyway, she decided that she wanted to buy me a Porsche, and she bought this one. And again, it was like, I can't remember why, but it ended up coming from abroad, and she paid loads of money for it. So it's not worth anything, but sentimentally, it's worth the world to me, because she went to the effort to buy it. And annoyingly, we had some friends around the other day, and their kid opened the box, and I still have all the pieces of the box here to be glued back together to go back on my shelf. So that's my very expensive Porsche 911 and my very expensive Sierra Cosworth. We have a Dodge Viper RT10 Matchbox still in its box. I have a photo of me. I must be about 9 years old. I got one of these for Christmas along with the Hot Wheels Car Crusher. I don't know if you remember that. It might be the Matchbox Car Crusher.
Nice car. Let's crush it.
In the Matchbox Car Crusher.
Crusher, crusher, crush. My car.
Car Crusher comes with 4 crushed cars. Additional cars sold separately from Matchbox.
So yeah, that's why my Viper is still in its box. Other cars up here that are still in their boxes, I have the Hot Wheels Ferrari F40 in yellow. This is pretty hard to find. It took me a long time to find one of these in the box. The reason I have this in the box is because years ago when we were kids, I got one of these from Toys R Us, and then I had an argument with my little brother, and he threw it out of the loft window and smashed the back engine cover off it. And I always said I'd replace it, and then this ended up costing me about 20 quid as well. I think this came from America. So yeah, that's in there because my brother threw mine out of the window when we were kids. Also, we have, obviously, this is a slightly more detailed, I think this is a Japanese brand. This is a Volvo 850, it's 1/64 scale. You can see there, it's got all the correct stuff on it, and it's got the roll cage. It's quite a detailed little model, if you can see the roll cage in there. I think that was about 50 quid, and I bought that when I did my replica, which you will probably remember. I am obsessed with Escort Cosworths. So when a 1/64 scale Escort Cosworth came out, I bought one, but it's missing the bar on the spoiler, so obviously someone's been messing with that. However, I did buy another one at the Practical Classics Restoration Show this weekend. It's a Greenlight. So we have that one, and that was £11, but I haggled him down to £10 because I'm a famous YouTuber. And he said, oh, I don't watch YouTube, and I've never heard of you. But I managed to get £1 off. I bought one for Lyndon as well, as a treat. I've got an old vintage Matchbox Ferrari F40 as well. You have to love Ferrari F40s, don't you? You really do have to love a Ferrari F40. I got a couple of Mercedes SLs as well, the old school Mercedes SLs. When I was 5 years old, a friend of mine, I don't know what his dad did for a living. He was like just a fixer, and he used to fix things for this wealthy guy, and this wealthy guy got one of the first 500 SLs, and I think my friend's dad was taking it for a clean or something, so he popped round, and there was a photo of me at 5 years old with my best friend at 5 years old, stood next to a R129 500 SL, and it was a silver one, obviously. So I have a couple of R129 500 SLs because that car always has a little soft spot in my heart, really, because I just remember being so young and being so impressed by the 500 SL. And then I have a Kia Stinger, and that used to be a joke early on in the channel because I really like the Kia Stinger, and I made a couple of comments about them in my early Geoff videos. And then for a while, anytime I'd go on a Geoff adventure, picking up a car or buying a car, I'd always somehow come back with a Hot Wheels Kia Stinger. So I ended up with loads of these, and that just became all part of the joke. But I think that is, oh, we've got the Woody as well up on the top. I got a Hot Wheels Woody in box. That was a present from my sister some years ago. She probably doesn't even know that she bought it for me. It was probably one of those things where she was like, oh crap, I haven't got him a present, I better get him a quick present, and she just grabbed that and thought nothing of it. But it's actually one of my favourites, and it remains in the box. I don't really believe in keeping them in the boxes generally. I like to have them out. I like to have them on display because you have to feel them. You have to feel them and you have to look at them, and it's amazing how much time I can actually spend reorganising my Hot Wheels display as a sort of, I don't know, there's something very relaxing about just standing here with a gigantic pile of Hot Wheels and putting them all back in the shelf and reordering them, and you know, oh, I'm going to do a European side, I'm going to do an American side, I'm going to rank them in order of how much I'd like to own one, I'm going to rank them in order of how much I'd like to use it for a date night or a surf trip. There's just something really geeky and relaxing about that. So last one, this is a pink, I think it's an Avalanche, isn't it? It's a Chevy Avalanche. Yeah, it's a Chevy Avalanche, and this went on, I made a cake for my wife for her birthday one year, and it had like a miniature diorama on top of it, and there was a pink Chevy Avalanche on top of my wife's birthday cake, and this is the one. So that has a lot of sentimental value for me, and my wife always gets me a Hot Wheels car of some description for Christmas, and this year it was this one, which is actually a Majoretti, I think. It's a Majoretti Mercedes AMG G63 with an opening bonnet. So that was this year's Christmas Christmas present. And just very quickly, let me go see if I've got any on my diorama downstairs that I need to talk to you about. I'll just go and check that. All right, I'm back. A couple more to talk about. I've got another Volvo. This time it's got the surfboards on the roof. They're not glued on, although they usually are. The surfboards actually came from a Volkswagen camper van and were stolen to go on a diorama because you got to have surfboards on the roof of your Volvo. I have, this is very cool actually. This is a, is it a Hilux? Not quite sure what truck it is actually. It might be a made up truck, but this is the Surf Rescue truck. Now, what's interesting about this is, again, I bought this one from the Hot Wheels shop in Swindon. This car was the inspiration for the Shark Attack truck. If you remember, I made the Shark Attack response vehicle. The first early design for what I was going to do with that Toyota Hilux was based on this. So this car kind of started that whole Hilux modifying thing. So that's that one. And the last one is the McLaren F1. I know I've got at least one in here. I've got two actually. I've got a black one and a silver one. And I made some videos about how many McLaren F1s are left in this country. And they were very good videos, if I do say so myself, and nobody really watched them. So if you enjoy me talking about geeky things, go and watch my McLaren F1 videos because they're quite interesting. And if you did enjoy my Hot Wheels video, my laid back in the studio, make the most of the fact that I've tidied the room just for that interview earlier on, then let me know. Maybe well, I don't know if I can do another video on my Hot Wheels collection, unless I go and buy a load more. But there's probably quite a lot there that I didn't talk about. Oh, I've got one more story. Okay, one more story. This one's funny. This is another one that was bought for me by my wife. But the reason she bought this for me is because when our eldest was 3, I used to take him to preschool, and I saw advertised somewhere, I can't even remember where I saw it, there was a bike that was advertised, and it was a standard bike, but we had a seat in front of it for a small child. And I don't know, it was 100 quid, something like that. So I ordered it, and the bike was this exact colour. It was yellow with the brown. When the bike arrived, it was all packaged up, and it actually we've got it in a frame somewhere. Somewhere I have a frame full of Chinese stamps. It came with Chinese postage stamps on it. And it arrived, and I didn't want to build it myself, so I took it to a bike shop and I said, look, can you just assemble this bike for me? And then anyway, a day later I popped back in to collect the bike, and they said, look, we need to advise you, this is the most dangerous bike we've ever seen. We've never seen one that is built as badly as this. We strongly advise that you don't ride it. So I used to take him to school on it every day until it eventually snapped in two. But yeah, so my wife bought me that because she said it reminded her of the hilarious Chinese bike, which is what we call it. So there we go. Quite an uplifting little video, actually. I've enjoyed making that and talking you through some of my stories as to how I've ended up with these cars in this collection. But I'm not particularly precious about them. You know, the kids can grab them off the shelf and play with them, and it doesn't really bother me too much because it's the memories that are within each of the cars. It's not so much the cars themselves. And again, the same ethos that I have for everything about the channel, really. So thank you very much for watching a little candid video. Let me know what you thought of this style in the studio. I'm not sure about it. I prefer being in a car. But you tell me. Thanks for watching.
Geoff buys cars. Still YouTube's most boring car channel.